from around the globe. I love hearing all the different churches from the different countries and the different styles. It's going to be a good time. And we're all going to learn how to make our live stream better as we listen. And if you have advice to give, feel free to drop that in the comments. Just be constructive in your feedback. There's no reason to be rude or anything like that. Also, put in the comments where you're tuning in from. Would love to know. And without fail, and yes, you probably do hear a rooster in the background. I'm in my office at home today. I live on a farm, and occasionally the rooster likes to get right outside my window and start crowing when it's video time. So, of course, that's what's going on. But anyway, without fail, people ask, how do I get my live stream reviewed? This is something that we do for our sound partners, those who have access to our courses and our training and our one-on-one support. Live stream reviews are a part of that. So if that's something you want to do, there's a link in the description on how you can become our partner for $35 a month. And it's just month to month. There's no contracts. And whenever you sign up, you get access to all of our training. You get access to one-on-one support where you can schedule a call with us anytime to solve any problems that you're running into, and also live stream reviews. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this first one, which is from Andrew from Sisters Community Church. He said the audio is sounding distant and lifeless. They're bouncing between using a DAW, Logic Pro, and running a post-fader aux mix. The DAW sounds better right now, but I'd like to run post-fader aux. Get it sounding as good as the DAW because it cuts down on complication, frees up a volunteer. How can I make sure my post-fader aux mix sounds better? I'm pretty sure I have the right equipment to make it happen. Awesome. Well, let's take a listen, and we can get into those questions here in a bit. Here we go. Overall, this is a good mix. I would agree with you that it sounds kind of like squashed and lifeless. Obviously, you already told me that, so that's not news to your ears. But I love the way that you have things EQ'd. The vocals are EQ'd. Great. The thing that I'm missing is the low end. There's not a great balance between the low end and the mids. So that's something that I'd like to bring up in the mix. And you should be able to bring that up without causing any further limiting or compression problems, because it's just kind of not there. We just need to bring it in. More bass guitar, more kick drum. And speaking of the drums, one thing I noticed is that the cymbals just sound kind of strange. They're panned a little bit too hard one direction or the other, so I'd bring those closer to the center. And they also need some EQ applied to them. I would put a low shelving filter on those cymbals, and I'd probably place it around 2-3 kilohertz, somewhere around there, and then start dropping that down until you get a more sizzly, bright cymbal, instead of right now it's just kind of like this strange sounding crash in the mix. So that's gonna improve some things, but overall I think you're just over compressing this mix. So I would check the limiter that you have on the overall mix, the compressor that you have, and lighten those up a little bit. What's interesting is that even though it's over compressed, I think it's probably still a little bit on the quiet side. So be interested to figure out what's going on there. There's so many variables between your live stream and then when it actually goes on YouTube. And a lot of times this is a great opportunity for you to jump on a one-on-one coaching call with us so we can kind of trace that down and figure out what's going on. So schedule that call the next time you have a chance, and we can hop on the phone with you, probably on a FaceTime call or a Zoom call or something like that, and walk through and figure out where the volume discrepancy is. But overall, you have a great mix going here. I bet you that none of your congregants are complaining about this, but since you're somebody who wants the audio to be as good as it can be, like you said, there's definitely room for improvement, and it's just like we need to release the mix. It's just too squashed down. We need to add some more dynamic to what's going on here, add some more low end, and that's going to make a huge difference. So go and try to make those changes, but I think a one-on-one coaching call would be really helpful here. So you have a link, since you're one of our sound partners, you have a link on how to schedule those calls. So go ahead and do that, and we'll look forward to getting on the call with you. I want to say hello to those people who are jumping in on the comments here from, we got from Ohio. Great to have you. Rachel, it's great to have you. We got Kansas on the line, Texas, Cincinnati. So awesome. From San Diego, literally from all over the U.S. We got Wyoming. It's great to have all you guys. That is very awesome. Nobody's asked this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it because it'll probably get asked. How do I get my live stream reviewed? This is something that we do for our sound partners. So you can become a sound partner by using the link in the description. But let's go ahead and jump into this next one, which this is from, let's see, Mark from Fairborn City Church. They're just trying to improve the quality of their sound. So let's take a listen and see what we can do.
Could not deny what I've seen. Got no choice but to believe. My doubts are burning like ashes in it. So wrong to my old friend. Burden and bitterness, you can't just keep it moving.
Okay.
You're not welcome here.
You know, the first thing I've noted is the vocal EQ.
From now till I walk streets of gold, I'll sing of how you saved my soul.
They sound good together.
This wayward son has found his way back home. Pick me up, turn me around, and place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you healed my heart, changed my name. Forever free, I'm not the same.
Oh, look at that. I don't have the volume all the way up on this YouTube feed. That would explain what was going on here. Rookie mistake. All right, so what I'm noticing here is that the vocal EQ is a little on the thick side. We need to carve out some more of those low mids. And so that'll bring clarity to the vocal. Sometimes you listen to a vocal like that and you just think, oh, it needs more clarity. And so you start boosting things in the upper end of the spectrum. That is not the right approach. Whenever we do EQ, what you need to do is look for things that you need to cut out to achieve the desired result. So in this case, on those vocals, first of all, make sure you have a low cut filter around 180 hertz. But even that's probably there already. What we need to do now is carve out some more of those low mids. And one of the things that I like to do, and this is kind of like a quick fix in which you can go back and fine tune this later. But a lot of times, you know, it's Sunday morning and you're trying to fix these things. So the quickest way to do this is to put a low shelving filter at around 800 hertz and just start notching that down until the vocal clears up. Now you don't want to be too aggressive with that filter because some people do that and then the vocal starts to sound too thin. You just want to find that place where the vocal sounds clear and warm all at the same time. Little adjustments go a long way with that filter. And then when you have time, if you can do like a virtual sound check later, you can come back, remove that low shelving filter, and then use a peaking filter to find out which frequency range is actually causing that vocal to sound unclear. In this case, I'm going to guess it's probably it's somewhere between 200 and 300 hertz is what it sounds like to me. That way you're just cutting that specific range instead of cutting out all of the low mids together. But like I said, quick fix is use that low shelving filter. I do it all the time because it seems like you're always in a hurry when it comes to live sound, and that gets you the desired result. You're not going to notice what's missing too much, but it is, if you have time to fine tune, it's definitely worth it to fine tune and come make that better later. Let me listen a little bit more and see if there's anything else we need to do besides clean up those vocals.
Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave.
You know, I hear some things with the instrumental mix that could be better too, but the vocal mix is, you know, church music is all in the vocals. If you get the vocals right, it makes a big deal. So that's my focus just keeps going on. We got to fix those vocals. So get those fixed, and I think you're going to notice that your whole mix really sounds a lot better. EQ them, like I talked about, but also bring them down, bring the level down in this mix as well, because the balance between the instruments and the vocals should sit on top, but they're a little too far. They're a little overshooting. So you can bring them down a little bit to create a better blend between the instruments and the vocals. So your focus is on that vocal mix. Once you make that change, it's going to make a big difference. Thanks for sending this in. It's really good. Love seeing what you guys are doing there at City Church. All right. Let's see what we have going on here. Somebody is commenting as Collaborate Worship. I'm going to guess that's Dylan or Paul. You're wondering how to get your live stream review. Y'all don't know this already? I'm just messing with you. All right. Let's see. We had somebody says we had our mix on the X32 sample rate at 44.1 kilohertz, and now it's set to 48, and it cleaned up our sound quite a bit. You know, that's pretty awesome. Usually you don't notice much of a difference whenever you make that change, but maybe that just brought things into alignment. Like your live stream software may have been expecting a 48 kilohertz mix, and so that just brought all things into alignment instead of it having to convert and things like that. That probably is what made the difference, but that's a great tip. That could be something that we all could try to see how big of a difference it makes in the way that our mix sounds. Yep, agreed. The vocals are too raw and up front. Absolutely. Great to have you from Cleveland, Alex. From Canada. Awesome. Great to have you. Oh, we got a fellow Okie on here. That's awesome. I'm in Oklahoma too. The Tulsa area. All right, let's see what we have going on here. We'll get into this next live stream from Weatherly Faith Church. See what they said whenever they sent theirs in. This is from Chris Pizer, I think is how you say his last name. He just says live stream is awful. So what can I do to make it sound better? All right, let's take a listen and see what we can do. So the first thing that I'm noticing is that the balance of this mix is off. And so that would be the first thing to fix. Like the organ is dominating the mix. It can come down significantly, which it may not actually be an organ. Maybe that's a keyboard player. Whatever it is, that organ sound is just way, way too much in this mix. Bring that down. I'm kind of thinking that one change is going to make this mix make a whole lot more sense. Everything else sounds really quiet compared to the organ. So once you bring the organ down, then everything should like make its way, and you should be able to hear it all. Like I can hear the guitar, I can hear the bass guitar, I can hear the drums. They're just all being drowned out by the organ. So I think bringing that organ down is just going to make a night and day difference in this mix. Let's keep listening. Nice guitar solo, Paul. I'm sure you're enjoying that. Yeah. See, I like the way that the drums sound. I like the way that the bass guitar sounds. They're just all getting buried up by the organ. So fix that organ. You're gonna be like, wow, that made a big difference. I'm talking about bring it way down and make it more of a background fill instruments instead of this thing that's way out in the front. And then from that point on, I think you could probably focus on bringing in some reverb to that vocal to bring his vocal to life, some reverb on the vocals overall. And you can go through those lessons in the course, but I recommend using a plate reverb on the vocal primarily, and then you can combine that with a hall reverb to add even more space to the vocal. That's going to make a huge difference in this live stream as well. And to make a comment on, let's see, we're staying on this crowd shot for a long time. Let me see this other shot that you have. I generally don't comment on visuals, but I do want to comment on it this time. This is a much more welcoming visual than this crowd one. This crowd visual is just, I don't know, it's just kind of strange to look at for some reason to me. It gets me focused on, what's this person over here doing? Why is this person not seem real excited about what's going on? And so I'm not even focusing on worship anymore because I'm just observing what's going on in the room. So I would recommend using this one sparingly. Like maybe you just throw it in for a second or two here and there to give perspective of what's going on in the room, but not hang out on it for a long time like we currently are. And just primarily stay on your primary camera angle here, which looks good. All right. So there you go. I mean, this is going to be a really simple fix. You bring that organ down here and be like, wow, that made such a big difference. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for sending this in. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next one. Let's see. This one, Gary sent this in from Journey Church. Untreated. They're in a gym worship space. So they're just looking for ways to make it better. And yeah, that's a struggle to be in a gym, but it's not impossible. EQ in your room makes a big difference. But let's take a listen and see what we have going on.
My Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail.
Man, she's quite a vocalist. Nice. All
We're
right.
going to sing that we sought the Lord and he heard and he answered, and sometimes he doesn't answer how we want him, but he answers for his glory.
Okay, so
And our good.
I'm glad I caught this
We
moment.
have to be reminded of that.
So the lead vocal didn't sound bad, but she could definitely sound better with some EQ. She is too heavy in those low mids.
I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered.
And then I heard whenever you cut out the reverb, it actually made her sound better, but she was still too heavy in the low mids. So the reverb is actually adding more of what we need to cut out anyway. So once you cut that out of her, then it'll also adjust your reverb as well, since how you EQ the vocal is going to depend on what reverb is reproduced. And that's the thing about reverb, is if you don't have things EQ'd properly, reverb will just replicate and multiply what you don't want to hear. So that's why it's so important to get EQ right, especially when you're using a lot of reverb like that. So with her, she's heavy somewhere in the 300 to 400 hertz range, if I had to guess. So I would use a peaking filter, set the Q value to 4, and then boost that about 9 dB and sweep through that low mid frequency spectrum until you find the most annoying sound from her voice. And then that's where you found where it needs to be cut, and then you can cut it down. You're probably going to cut -6 dB or maybe even a little bit more, and you're gonna be like, wow, that really made her sound bright and clean. You also, once you find out where to cut, go ahead and adjust that Q value so you can make the thing as narrow as possible while still achieving the desired result. Because you don't want to cut out, when it comes to cutting those low mids, you take the risk of removing warmth from the vocal, and that's not what you're trying to do. You want the warmth to stay there, but you want to add clarity. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of finagling with that Q value and also finding the right frequency placement. It's going to make a big difference in how her vocal sounds. Let's keep listening.
Who will never fail. He will never fail. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. That's why I trust him. That's why I trust him. I sought the Lord.
Drums are sounding good, so good job on those. Bass guitar. We need more bass guitar, but I can also tell that it needs to be EQ'd differently, because I can hear it in there and it's just sounding a little bit too bright. Those upper mids are coming through and I'm not getting the thunder from the bass guitar. So a little EQ could help there. I may put like a high shelving filter on that and set it to around, let's say 300 or 400 hertz, and just cut about maybe 2 or 3 dB and see if that gets me the desired result, to where the bass, we're basically adjusting how heavy is the low end versus the high end. And so you can use that high shelving filter to accomplish that. You need way more, like under 100 hertz energy coming from the bass guitar. It's going to make a huge difference in this mix.
He will never fail.
Acoustic guitar sounds good.
I trust in
You know, the more I hear this lead vocal, it makes me wonder if the EQ if your filter that I talked about earlier is actually going to land more like 500 or 600 hertz. Just scan from 200 hertz to 800 hertz until you find what's most annoying in that range, and that's where you need to cut.
Amen.
Amen. We'll go back.
I sought the Lord, I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord. I'm fighting a battle, and you've already won. No matter what comes my way.
Do the same thing on all the vocals. They all just need a little EQ help. It's going to make a big difference in that mix.
Know what you'll do.
And now I'm noticing that you're pushing the volume too hard on this mix, so I'm hearing a lot of distortion fragments at the top of this mix. So somewhere along the way, you're peaking on this mix. So find wherever that is. Look for the red line. Maybe it's a channel that's peaking. Maybe it's the overall live stream that's peaking. You know, whatever it is, find out what that is and bring that level down so that you're not peaking. I could use more keyboard and electric guitar on both of the songs that I've heard so far. There's kind of this hole in the frequency spectrum here in those low mids. It's like I have it from the vocal, but I don't want it from the vocal. I want it from either the keyboard or the electric guitar. So it's like the high mids are sounding good, and we're missing that low end. We're kind of just missing this low section altogether, which should be filled by the instruments. Not from the acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar sounds good. Don't mess with that. But I'm specifically talking about the electric guitar and the piano. Need to fill in some space in this mix. All right.
You
have a good thing going. So those are just some tips so you can take it to the next level. Thanks for sending that in. Let's see. I'm going to look at the comments here, and then we'll jump into the next one. Chris, you're from Tulsa also. Also, we're practically neighbors. I agree. That looked like a security, like scary camera, but he meant security camera, which I agree. That's probably what made it look weird. That's a great way to explain it from that previous live stream. Awesome. So I says, thanks for your work. Kade has helped us a lot as a church. Greetings from Peru. Hey, great to have you. Thank you. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate it. Yeah, I need to boost around 80 hertz range for the bass. That could get the job done too. My theory about sound though is boost sparingly. Like I rarely boost on an EQ filter. I'm always looking for what can I cut to get the desired result. So cutting out from like 200 hertz and above will get us the same result as boosting at 80 kilohertz. And one of the risks that you take of boosting at 80 kilohertz is having that one bass guitar note, whatever note happens at 80 kilohertz, like really like hitting you in the face, and the others aren't. It doesn't sound level as they move from note to note. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're EQing the bass guitar. All right, up next we have from All Church. Let's see. This is Dan that sent this in. They're looking at getting their drums locked in tight. So let's take a listen. That's a great sound and mix. You're doing a great work. Thanks for sending this in. I'm listening specifically to these drums. Snare sounds great. Snare sounds great. I could use a little more of it though. kick drum is where you need to tighten things up. It's very like big, and I expect a kick drum to be kind of like this tight punch, and right now it's like a so tighten that up, and the way that you could do that is adjusting on your gate. You could have the release time be a lot shorter, and that would cut it off. Make sure there's no reverb on your bass guitar, or sorry, on your kick drum as well. So adjust the release time on your gate and remove any reverb. And if you're using ambient mics, that could be where we're getting the too much, kind of the explosiveness of that kick drum. On your ambient mics, just put a low cut filter on there, upwards of 200 hertz, and that would keep that from happening. You know, normally I like my vocals to sound a little warmer than this, but at the same time, it's sounding good. Like you have that background girl vocal EQ'd really, what I would call crispy. There's not a lot of warmth to her voice, but at the same time, it's working because it's filling a part of the frequency spectrum that isn't filled by anything else. So you're causing me to reconsider how you can get a vocal to fit in a mix. I want to listen to another song here. Sound really good. Very good. That's a big LED wall. Very good. It sounds really good, man. I mean, even if you didn't change anything, this is a great mix. But as far as your drum mix, that's the thing you asked me to comment on specifically. It's the kick drum. That's the toms sound great, the snare sounds great, the cymbals sound great. That kick drum is just too explosive. It needs to be tightened up, and it's gonna make, you're gonna be surprised at how big of a difference that makes in your mix. Let me listen one more time for the bass guitar. I could use more bass guitar. I was so focused on the kick drum that I wasn't paying attention to the bass guitar. Once you tighten up that kick drum, the bass guitar needs to come up to marry with the kick drum and kind of add that sustain in the low end of the frequency spectrum. All right, very good. Thanks for sending that in. That's awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one here. This is from Thomas from Decaturville Pentecostal Church. We've reviewed them before. He said it's been a while since a review, so just any recommendations you have that they can share with their new volunteers in training. This is choir nights, which they have one Sunday night of each month. Now, I did go through, it's been a little while. We kind of got backlogged on live stream reviews, so I went back on most of these and picked the most recent live stream. So I'm not sure if I did that to you or not. So this may or may not be choir night, but let's take a listen.
We're standing on His promises. In Him we have a confidence. He won't fail. Promises. We're standing on His promises. In Him we have a confidence. He won't fail. Put your hands together right now.
All right, so on these vocals, they need some, since you have so many vocals, panning could make a big difference in this vocal mix. And I'm not talking about hard panning, I'm talking about like you actually use what you're seeing on the stage and you pan the gal that's the furthest on the left, maybe put her 20% to the left, and the next person 10% to the left, the next person center, you know, and so on. Don't go more than 20% either way, but it's gonna like widen out this vocal mix, make it sound more like a choir. And then the vocal mix also needs some reverb to even take that effect further. It'll help them sound more blended and more alive and add some interest to that vocal mix. Just a little bit too dry and too like mono focused.
Standing on his promises, every single word in him we have a confidence that he will fail.
The balance of the drum mix needs to improve on this as well. There's way too much hi-hat. The hi-hat can come down, and then the kick and the snare need to come way up. You gotta, like, your kick and your snare are drivers in a mix, so we could use quite a bit more volume from them, as well as the bass guitar. I need quite a bit more bass guitar in this mix. And the last thing I would check on this mix is the low cut filter that you're putting on the instrument, specifically the piano. It may be set a little bit too high because the piano's sounding a little bit too thin to me. It has the ability to fill the warmth area of the frequency spectrum, which is missing. So if you have a low cut filter on the piano, maybe set it around 100 Hertz. Would probably be a good place. If it's higher than that, it's probably too high. So take a look at that and see if we can add some more warmth to this mix. This style of music is like so vocal driven though. I'd put my focus on getting those vocals just to widen them out and add some reverb to them to really make them sound awesome. And then start worrying about the other things. The drum mix, the balance of the drums, just bringing up the kick and the snare drum and bringing down the hi-hat is going to make a big difference too. Thanks for sending this in. Y'all are sounding good. Appreciate it. Let's see here. What if you compress after boosting? I'm talking about boosting that 80 kilohertz range, I imagine. I don't know. I've never thought of it that way, I guess. I would have to experiment with that. That's not the approach that I would take naturally, but it could work. But yeah, I do boost. I don't want to say that I never boost on an EQ filter. I do occasionally. It's just really rare. And when the situation really, if I can't achieve it by cutting something, then I'll resort to boosting. Let's see, is the mic handling an issue for background vocals? Mic handling. I don't know if you're talking about this stream or not. Let me look at them again, see what they're... Oh, how they're kind of clapping and stuff like that. They're all holding their mic correctly. My recommendation is no more than an inch from your mouth. That's how you get the best sound for live setting and not have feedback issues. As long as they're not causing feedback by throwing their mic around, I'm good with it. And I'm not hearing any mic handling like pops or anything like that, so I'm sure that could happen. And if it did, then you'd have to address it. Ah, the previous one. Okay. The one you mentioned that the vocals were thin. I did notice that one girl she had her mic like a foot away from her mouth, right? Which would make it sound thin. So yeah, definitely the closer that you have the mic to your mouth, the fuller of a sound you're going to get. And actually the more EQ you're going to have to do in those low mids to thin them out. But the reason that we recommend that people hold it that closely in a live setting is so that we don't have to use as much gain and volume to get them through on the mix, because we want to eliminate any opportunities for feedback. So I would much rather them hold it really close and have to carve out those low frequencies than hold it really far away. All right, up next here, Glory Church. Adam sent this in. He said the audio feels hollow on the stream compared to what's going on in the house. All right, well, let's take a listen, see what we got going on.
Jesus, oh, come, Lord Jesus.
So we definitely need to work on volume on this mix, because the volume, as you probably noticed, compared to the other streams, is quite a bit quieter. So you put a limiter on your overall live stream bus, and that'll enable you to squeeze more volume out of it. I don't even think you're getting close to peaking on this one, so you can just like increase the volume overall. There's so many places within a live stream to increase the volume. It'd be a great opportunity for you to schedule a coaching call with us so we can understand how everything is connected and help you with the right place to make that volume adjustment.
And the waves of his mercy, his deep cries out to thee. We say, come Lord Jesus, we expect your rod.
I think what you're missing from, like you said, it doesn't sound like it does in the room. I don't hear a hollow mix. I hear a dry mix. And in the room, you're getting the natural reverberation of the room that's kind of bringing this mix more to life. So I think what you're missing here is actually reverb in this live stream mix. So go to the reverb lessons in the course and add the plate reverb to your vocals, as well as the hall reverb. And then you can put a room reverb on your drums. And then just the overall mix, like the balance of the mix, we need more bass guitar and more drums in this mix. Yeah, there's not, you don't have a lot of instruments to work with here.
Come to the fountain.
But it's sounding good with what they have going on. The simplicity of what we got going on. I'd love to have that piano in the mix because it's going to fill in a missing part of this frequency spectrum, but they're not there, they're not there. You can't make something out of nothing.
In the ways of his mercy.
Overall, this is a good mix though. We just need to bring the volume up and add some reverb to it. It's going to make a big difference. So do those two things and let us know how it goes. All right, let me move on to the next one here, which is New Testament Christian Church in Irving, Texas. They have inconsistent sounds. Sound Sundays on the online feed. I can only be heard when raising my voice. If I just talk the online feed, you can't hear me. All right, well, let's take a listen, see what we got going on here.
You provide the Spirit, and I will open up inside me. You provide the fire.
Song says you provide the fire.
I'll provide the sacrifice. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up, God. Fill me up.
This is another opportunity to improve the mix by adding reverb to the vocals.
Fill me up, God. Fill me up. You provide the fire.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any reverb on them. So add a plate reverb and a hall reverb to those vocals. Gonna bring them to life and help it blend in with, it sounds like you're using tracks. So the tracks sound good.
You provide the Spirit.
I hear some peaking on this mix, and I think it's probably on a channel basis. You know, when she really sings out, are you hitting the red? If you are, you need to make a gain adjustment. You should never hit red on any of the channels. And you know, some people, it's like, it wasn't hitting red in rehearsal, and then they really sing out. Yeah, I know that happens. And it's usually not best to make a gain adjustment live. If you do, just kind of like barely make an adjustment to get them out of the red. But yeah, we need to take care of that peaking. It sounds like you want more volume out of it, so you just keep increasing the gain. That's not the right solution to that. What you need here is to get your gain right, which the goal is to set gain so that when they're singing at a great moderate volume, you're meeting the place on the level meter where the green meets the yellow. That's going to put you in a good place in most cases. And then once you have that set correctly, you need to set a compressor on these vocals, and that's actually how you squeeze more volume out of your entire mix. Is when you compress each individual channel, and then you add some compression to the overall mix, and then a limiter on top of that. You're limiting those dynamics so that you can get more volume out of the overall mix. So those are the things you need to work on. Let's see, let me list them off. Fix the gain on your vocals and all your channels. Make sure you're not hitting red. Add compression to your vocals. There's a lesson in the course on how to do that. Just follow that verbatim and you'll get the desired result. Add some reverb to the vocals, and then you'll probably need to add a compressor and a limiter to your overall live stream mix, which all this is in the training that you have access to since you're one of our sound partners. So go ahead and dive into those lessons. I kind of listed off quite a few things. So you're gonna learn a lot through this journey, but we're here to help you. If you need any one-on-one help, just schedule a coaching call with us and we'd be glad to help you out. Thanks for sending this in. All right, let me check comments real quick. Oh, let's see. Should we use defeedback plugins right from the beginning just to be sure we won't have any problems later? That's a great question. I don't do that. And the reason is it creates a variable in what's going on that can be hard to trace down when you're like, something just sounds really strange, because those automatic feedback reducers, they can add all these strange EQ parameters to your overall mix, which end up making your mix sound strange. So my preference is to just take the time to EQ your room, because that's the best way to eliminate feedback problems. And then as time progresses, and maybe in rehearsal, you find out that something is susceptible to feedback. You find out what channel that is, and you make an EQ adjustment on that channel instead of the overall mix. Now, if you find yourself adding an EQ adjustment to like all your vocal mics in the same area because they're all prone to feedback, that's a room EQ issue. So you can remove that EQ filter from the vocals and then take that out of the main mix. Because the reason you do room EQ is your room reverberates and multiplies certain frequency ranges more than others. So EQing your room enables you to bring those frequency ranges down so that everything's more level in its response to the room. Now within the course, there's a Room EQ Made Simple course. Within that, it's the most advanced training that we have within our training. It really takes some time to get it right, but I recommend you do it because it's a great skill for you to have, because this isn't really something that you do just once and then never do it again. This is something that you want to do probably once a year, because your speakers age, things change, and yeah, it's just really helpful to do that. So dive in and do it as many times as it takes to get it right. It's going to be well worth the effort. Let's see. Thought feedback was more like speaker placement, mic handling, gain staging problems. Yeah, that too. It all works together. Awesome. When you EQ a room, is it EQing the room mics? No. The room mics are, aka ambient mics, are just so you can pick up the sound of the room and send it to your live stream, so they kind of feel like they're there. EQing the room is where you put a reference mic and you bring it to the middle of your room, the middle of the listening area, and you point it at the speakers and you play pink noise in the room, and you look on a chart, on a frequency chart, and see what that microphone is hearing. And it's going to show you what areas of the frequency spectrum are jumping out over the rest. And then you can apply EQ filters to your main mix to cut out those areas and create a more level response in your room. Hope that clears things up. All right, so this next one is from, it's in another language, so I'm not going to try to say the church because I would probably get it wrong. But they're just looking to improve their mixing and their EQ. Also, what would you suggest for DAW on your live stream? I don't have much worship group. My stream output, if put at 0, causes the mixer the Focusrite to distort with it being at its lowest volume. Yes. That happens because your mixer, whenever you like connect it via XLR, it automatically adds a boost beyond what your live stream is doing. So you may just have to bring your live stream volume down a little bit on your mixer so that it's not peaking out at the Focusrite. I don't recommend using a DAW for a live stream because I think you can get a great live stream mix from a post-fader bus mix. Now there are use cases for a DAW mix, but the real question is, do you have an extra person to run that DAW who is skilled at doing it that way? Because if not, a DAW is not just automatically going to get you a better result. It's only going to get you a better result if you have a dedicated person who can manage that DAW, who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, a post-fader bus mix is the best way to go. All right, let's jump into this next review.
Tú me alientas, siempre en victoria tú me llevarás. Vivo solo para Cristo y nadie más, pues solo en Jesús yo encontré la paz. Él me llena de su espíritu de amor, por siempre cantaré, soy más que vencedor. Tu mano me sostiene, tu espíritu me alienta, siempre en victoria tú me llevarás. Tu mano me sostiene, tu espíritu me alienta, siempre en victoria.
All right, so this is a simple mix here. We have 2 vocals in this mix and a keyboard, it sounds like. One thing that I would change on the keyboard is I would check EQ on the keyboard, because since they're the only instruments, okay for them to occupy the full frequency spectrum. So if you have a low cut filter on that keyboard, just take it off. Let them occupy as much of the frequency spectrum as they will give you. And on the vocals, they could be cleaned up a little bit. They're sounding a little bit too heavy on those low mids. So make sure you have a low cut filter on them at about 180 hertz, which it sounds like you probably do. And then just clean them up. Probably the easiest way to do that would be to set a low shelving filter at around 600 hertz and then cut 2 to 3 dB. I think would take care of the problem, would make them sound cleaner, but still warm. And then add a plate reverb to these vocals. It's going to bring them to life. And since they're the only thing in the mix, I wouldn't put too much of a plate reverb. Reverb in a situation like this could become distracting really quickly, but a little bit of reverb, a little touch of reverb is still going to be, it's still going to take this mix to the next level. So yeah, thanks for sending that in. It's awesome. All right, we have one more to go for today. Let's see what we got going on here. This is from Jason at DC Church. They want better clarity, gain, and they want bigger sound. Greater clarity and bigger sound. I like those two goals. That's awesome. This was mixed via Logic Pro in preparation for a church cancellation snow day. Now again, I went and I found the most recent on most of these streams, so this may or may not be the snow mix. But let's take a listen. So the main thing on this mix is that what I'm hearing is I got vocals and I got drums, and then the instruments are just kind of like hanging out in the background. So we need to work on the instrumental mix mainly on here. Specifically the bass guitar. Need a lot more bass guitar in this mix. That's what's going to make your mix sound bigger. I don't hear the piano at all, so more piano. Background vocal's a little bit too loud compared to the lead vocal. I'd bring her down. I hear reverb in this mix, but it needs more. And again, that's going to be one of those things that makes this mix sound bigger for you. I would also put more reverb on that electric guitar. I like how you have the acoustic guitar mixed in this. I wouldn't change that. The other thing that's kind of messing with this mix is the snare drum. It just doesn't sound, the sound of the snare drum is no bueno. It sounds very boxy, is how people would describe that. And it needs to sound more punchy than that. That's gonna bring clarity and make your mix sound bigger. I would recommend maybe trying a different snare. I think it's gonna be hard to get a great snare sound out of that. I mean, but you can try. If getting a new snare is not an option, what I would do is I would put a peaking filter at probably around somewhere between 400 and 600 hertz. I would scan through there and find out where it sounds the worst, where it sounds the most boxy, and then I'd apply a huge cut there, like -9, -12 dB with a peaking filter and a Q value of 3 or 4, somewhere around there. So you're going to be cutting out this whole midsection of the snare. But you're going to find it sounding a lot better. That's where the boxiness takes place. So start with that. And then if you still don't have a great sounding snare, I would go to a local drum shop and try some different snares and just make sure that you have the snare sound that you want from the get-go, instead of trying to manipulate a sound that you don't like. Yep. Snare is a big part of the mix. It's a big player, so it's important to get that right. Once you get the sound right on the snare, you can add some reverb to that snare as well to liven it up. I'm gonna keep listening to this.
Seeming love.
You already have reverb on the snare, I hear that.
Oh, here I raise my ebony.
So you know you have the bass guitar right in the mix whenever the bass guitar and the kick drum almost sound like one instrument. It's almost like the kick drum comes in just to add some definition to certain bass guitar notes. That's the feel that you should get whenever you have those sitting right together in your mix. I think the kick is a little bit too loud in this mix, so bring the kick down and bring the bass up to meet at that place.
Wandering from the fold of God, He to rescue me from danger, interposed His precious blood.
I don't comment on camera angles much, but that one that we were just looking at, the keyboard player, needs to be zoomed out a little bit. It looks a little bit awkward with how close that it is. These other ones are looking good though. Yeah, we just need to fix the snare and bring those instruments up with the drums, and then you're going to get what you want to out of this mix. You have a great thing going. Keep up the great work. All right, I think that does it for today. Thank you all for being with me on these live stream reviews. It's such a pleasure to see all the wonderful things going on in the different parts of the nation and all around the globe. We didn't have as many international live streams as we normally do, so I'm sure we will next time. It's just always a good time to see all the different churches and all the wonderful things that everybody's doing out there. Let's see, let me make sure there's no more. Yeah, lacking bass, absolutely. Drummer guy was in charge of the mix, absolutely. Can you explain about Soundcraft UI 16 tips and tricks, SQ5 or QU5 best? We don't do anything on the Soundcraft, so I apologize for that. I don't even own a Soundcraft mixer, but we do have a mastery course for the Allen and Heath QU, the Allen and Heath SQ, Behringer X32, and Behringer Wing, also Midas M32. Those are the mixers that we cover in depth through our training. Is SQ5 or QU5 the best? It depends on what your goals are. The SQ is definitely a more capable mixer. The QU is a simpler mixer. If I had to choose between the two, most of the things that I do in a church setting, the new QU, the QU5, is going to do an incredible, it's going to give me everything that I need. But if I wanted to add more effects and do more things, then I'd probably go with the SQ because it's not going to have the same limitations that the QU have. Both of them are great mixers. Both of them are going to create a great mix. It just depends on how capable and how detailed and complicated you want to get into your mix. I just recently spent a lot of time with the new QU5 because we created a series of YouTube videos about it, and I fell in love with the mixer. I'm usually a Behringer Wing guy, and I don't know, they might have won me over. It's pretty great. So if you want to learn more about the new Allen and Heath QU, go check out our YouTube channel and you'll find a series of videos. I even created a mix from the ground up on our shorts, improving my worship mix in 60 seconds. I think we're still in the middle of that, so go check that out so you can just watch me actually build a mix on the new QU. It's a great mixer. Thank you all for being here with me. If you want to know how to get your live stream reviewed, just partner with us and you get way more than live stream reviews. You also get access to all of our courses, all of our training, one-on-one support, all of our cheat sheets. All of that happens for you when you become a sound partner, and we would love to have you. You'd be joining more than 15,000 sound techs from around the world, and we would be happy for you to be a part of the crew who is making it easy to sound great. Links in the description on how you can do that. And until the next live stream review, I will see y'all later. Have a great day.